Hello everybody, you have tuned in to Eric Jose on Making a Murderer on YouTube. I cover virtually any aspect of making a murderer. I go over the evidence, the documents, the photos. So if you like, stay tuned, and in the future I'll have many more videos besides the one you're about to see. How are you doing today, folks? Today we're going to talk a little bit about the repeated BS crap on this case. The repeated false information that is given out by both of the gentlemen you're seeing here, along with one other person in this video that I'm going to show you. False information. This is a huge problem. It's a huge problem that so much false information was being issued with this case. That still, to this day, is being spouted. Untruth things that are not fact. So we're going to go through a list of things here. We're going to be including some of the things from the latest motions here. It's going to be quite interesting. Y'all know I have an issue with Mr. Fassbender. Y'all know that I'm absolutely beside myself with what happened to Brendan Dassey. And Mr. Fassbender, I feel, is hugely responsible in that sense. Hugely. He's, he keeps trying to act like, oh, he didn't do anything wrong. Oh, that confession seems legit to him, but it's ridiculous. And now we know that he was personally being being the custodian of evidence when he was really hiding it. All right, so where we're going to start is with Tom Fassbender. We're going to start with the control question that he talks about when he was on Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz, or one or the other. He was talking about the control question and why he knows that Brendan's confession is legit, because Brendan answered the control question properly. He's completely full of it. Brendan flip-flops on the control question. He gives Tom basically the answer he wants at first, and then flip-flops, and then basically acquiesces to what Tom was telling him. So he basically goes from one answer to the opposite answer, and it's not anywhere near convincing as Tom Fassbender would have you believe. So we're going to show you that now.
When she was alive, did she have any scars, marks, tattoos, stuff like that you can remember?
I don't remember any tattoos.
Any scars you remember?
Not that I've seen.
We know that Teresa had a tattoo on her stomach. Do you remember that? Do you disagree with me when I say that?
No, but I don't know what it was.
So that you can understand what's going on there. Basically, Tom Fassbender is asking Brendan about any kind of significant markings on Teresa's body. For instance, tattoos, scars, the like. Now, you hear Brendan clearly stating no, she didn't have any tattoos, no, she didn't have any scars, and at the beginning there. Then Tom Fassbender gets to his control question, and he actually asks Brendan, we know she had a tattoo on her stomach, which she didn't. He's making that up because he's trying to test Brendan's honesty and whether or not Brendan will acquiesce and just give him the answer that he thinks that Tom Fassbender wants. So Tom says she had this tattoo on her belly. Do you remember this? Brendan says, no, I don't. And then Tom Fassbender goes one step further and says, do you think I'm telling the truth, or do you think I'm lying to you? He says, and Brendan says, no, I don't think you're lying. I just don't know what it was. So he basically flip-flops. The problem that I have with this is that Tom Fassbender was going on national television and telling people that Brendan answered this question satisfactorily. He did not. You cannot call it a satisfactory answer to a control question when he flip-flops on it. He basically gives two opposite answers. How is that a control question? So that's my issue with that point. And now we're going to move into the other point with Fassbender with his evidence storage solutions in regard to the content on the Dassey computer. All right, this is from Zeller's latest motion. Mr. Buting avers in his affidavit that neither the above-referenced CD nor Detective Veely's investigative report was turned over in discovery. The December 14, 2006 letter from Mr. Kratz likewise confirms by omission that neither document was disclosed to the defense in the batch of discovery. Mr. Buting likewise notes that Special Agent Fassbender's report indicates he did not book the CD or Detective Veely's report into evidence. Rather, the report states the disc received from Detective Veely as well as the hard copy pages of the instant message conversations were maintained in Special Agent Fassbender's possession, not in an evidence locker somewhere, secured. Thus, Mr. Buting did not observe the CD entitled Dassey's Computer Final Report, Investigative Copy, when he reviewed the evidence maintained in the Calumet County Sheriff's Office prior to the Avery trial. So there you see they were kind of playing sort of a shell game with the content on the Dassey computer, trying to hide it from the defense, trying to do it in a way that they put that little flyer in with the discovery so that it kind of covered them, so that nobody could say that they didn't turn it over. I mean, clearly they are up to some shenanigans here with Tom Fassbender taking that evidence into his own personal custody. Okay, so now I'm going to show you where, again, to this day, back on October 17th of 2017, Tom Fassbender was on Nancy Grace, and anybody here knows how I feel about Nancy Grace. Good Lord, I listened to that thing. She has so many of her facts wrong, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous how many of her facts she has incorrect. It's mind-blowing, really. But then we have Mr. Fassbender on there. Mr. Detective Fassbender is supposed to be a honorable detective. And he's on her show telling people that Stephen Avery called Auto Trader and said that Teresa never came. And that is absolute crap.
But early on, he had told Auto Trader that she never showed up. Then it changed to she showed up, but I didn't come out. I saw her taking pictures. Then it changed to I did come out. She actually came into my house. So his stories changed. Your story shouldn't have to change if it's the truth. And if nothing happened, there's no reason for that to occur.
So we just heard Fassbender saying that Stephen called Auto Trader and said that she never showed up. Let's investigate that a little. Upon arriving at Auto Trader magazine office, Special Agent McGrath interviewed Rachel J. Higgs. Higgs stated that she had been working at Auto Trader magazine for approximately 6 to 7 months and was a production customer service representative. Higgs recalled speaking with an individual who identified himself as Stephen Avery, which I don't think is true. I don't believe that this person identified themselves as Stephen Avery, but we'll get to that. On approximately Thursday, 11/3/2005, this is 2 days before the RAV is found. Okay? There's no reason to suspect Stephen Avery on the 3rd yet. Correct? Okay. Avery called the office. Higgs stated that earlier on in the day, Teresa Halbach's mother had contacted Auto Trader office and was concerned about Halbach's whereabouts. Avery called the office approximately 2 hours after Halbach's mother, possibly between 3 and 4:30. Avery told Higgs that he had had an appointment for a van and a truck to be photographed on 10/31. However, he had contacted Halbach that day to see if she was still coming, and she told him she was headed in a different direction. Now, we know that Stephen only had the van, okay? One vehicle. So that's one thing that could have tipped, Tom Fassbender off that this is bogus in the first place. But he already knew that this was bogus because he's one of the ones that was investigating it back then. But anyways, Avery told Higgs, and it's not Avery, told Higgs that Halbach instructed him to contact the office to reschedule the appointment. Avery also told Higgs that he had been contacted by a male individual who identified himself as Teresa Halbach's roommate. This individual told Avery that they knew Halbach had been to his residence to take photographs and that they believed Avery had done something to Halbach. Avery stated that he did not appreciate being accused of this by this person. Avery had the number of this individual on his caller ID, and he told Higgs that he would call her back with that number. Avery stated that he did not appreciate being accused of this by this person. Higgs stated that she looked on the computer and did not see a Stephen Avery having an appointment and stated that she would look into it. So the thing is here, you see the part where it says that this supposed Stephen Avery says he got a call from Teresa's roommate? Okay, that's Scott Blodorn. Okay, we're going to go ahead and see now what they found out about that. So, Here it is. When Scott Blodorn called Stephen Avery on Thursday, November 3rd, to ask about the appointment with Teresa, Avery said she's never shown up. Well, that's because what Zellner is going to be basically referencing here. Scott Blodorn never called Stephen Avery. It was Steven Speckman. Or if you remember from the Day Planner, Sheboygan Steve. Okay, that's who this is about, not Stephen Avery. And the investigators knew this and misrepresented this call anyway. But also, doesn't it seem a bit premature for Scott Blodorn to have been calling and accusing Avery on the 3rd? Well, but then again, Manitowoc Sheriff's Department reported Stephen to the FBI 53 minutes after Teresa's mom reported her missing. So, I don't know. I wonder if there's a connection, because clearly people were looking at Avery before a RAV4 had been found, before bones had been found, before anything incriminating had been found. This was already going right on to Avery. Okay, so there you see it, folks. Clearly proven that Tom Fassbender is a liar. He lied. That was a lie. You can't classify that as anything else but a lie, because that's what it is. It was completely untruthful information, and he knows it. That's what constitutes a lie. Okay. Why would he be lying? Well, that's most likely because the case was having issues. They knew they weren't finding any trace of Teresa. Anyways, beyond that, we'll move beyond that. Now, I have a friend who was helping me research this video, and I've referred to her previously in my first Ryan Hilligast video. I refer to her as G. She is awesome. She does a lot of work for helping find missing people and help bring families closure. She's absolutely awesome. Well, she actually likes Lee Egan, who is also in that podcast, that Nancy Grace podcast with Tom Fassbender. Now, the thing that bothers me about that podcast is, number one, Nancy Grace has a lot of misinformation, a great deal of it. It's really kind of disturbing how many things, like for instance, how she was confused about. She says that Stephen lied to her when she interviewed him back when this originally happened back in 2005, that he lied to her. Then she was saying, she couldn't decide if he had told her that she never came, or if he had told her that Teresa had come and left. She kept going back and forth. She doesn't even remember what the story is. She's just so busy being against Stephen Avery that she doesn't even remember the facts anymore. She doesn't even know. And then the thing is that she keeps asking, what did he say in the interview? What did he say? And somebody's back there, one of her interns or something must be back there pulling it up to figure out exactly what Stephen had said. And it comes out, he had said that she came and left. Same story. See, there's all this claim by Tom Fassbender that Stephen was changing his story. No, actually, when you take away that BS call that never happened to Auto Trader, where you claim that he told them she never showed up, because that was actually Sheboygan Steve Speckman. Take that away, story never changes. Oh, you want to make a subtle over that subtle change about whether he went outside or whether she came in and blah blah blah. I mean, give me a break. He was under the pressure of an investigation, and that was one thing about that podcast that bothered me. But to come back to Lee Egan was in that room, and she seemed at one point to say something that kind of bothered me. It was regarding the hood latch testing. When she's sitting in a room with two people that are lying. Now, in the interest of fairness, I will say that Nancy Grace did score some serious points with me recently when she and her team did some stellar investigative helping out in the Chase Masner case, and brought to light some information that got the Cobb County Cold Case Unit up and looking, and they found Chase, and they were able to give his family some closure and some answers, and arrest the individual who was most likely at least involved in what happened. So I'll give Nancy Grace credit there, but in this podcast that I will leave the link to down below for those of you who feel you can stomach it, she lies. Almost everything out of her mouth. Well, maybe not lie with Nancy. Maybe Nancy truly believes the stuff that's coming out of her mouth, but the things that are coming out of her mouth are not factual. That's the issue with it. So, but I believe she may actually truly believe what she's saying. But to bring this back to Lee, that bothered me was at one point Lee Egan, I guess, attempts to support Tom Fassbender and Nancy Grace when they're, issuing these lies that they're telling. And she talks about the hood latch testing that was done recently by one of Zillner's experts. And she number one, she gets she misrepresents the facts of the testing. She says that 11 people left DNA on the hood latch when only 4 people left measurable DNA on the hood latch. And anyways, she sounds very confused, and that's why I'm not mad at Lee. Nancy and Tom are grossly in error. Seriously, way in error. Lee, I think she was maybe confused about what she was talking about, but she was trying to offer it in a sense to support Nancy and Tom. Lee, I would suggest that you be real careful about supporting these two if you see the proof here of their lies. I only even mention all that because I like Lee Egan so much. She actually is doing a lot of great work, just like my friend G. She's a reporter, and she's out there trying to help people. And so that's why I wanted to say this, because I mean, honestly, she just doesn't strike me as the type of person who would fall in with liars. So I think maybe she didn't realize. It's my honest opinion. So, as I said, I'll leave the link to that podcast down below. Moving on now, we're going to move into basically Ken Kratz and all, well, not all, but some of the really big misrepresentations by Ken Kratz, even moving into the current day. So it's, interesting. The point is why is there so many misrepresentations going on? Why am I able to point to so many things that are being misrepresented and lied about? Why is that? You got to ask. So this will be the end of Oops, We Did It Again Part 1. This will be the part that deals with Tom Fassbender and the particular lies and misrepresentations that he made. And there will be now a part 2 that you can expect tomorrow that will deal with Kratz and his lies and misrepresentations of facts. So that's it for this video, folks. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe.